Are you having a hard time figuring out what to get Dad for Father's Day? You should check out Row 1 Brand's Vintage Pictorum Gallery. They have America's best sports art. With over 7,200 historic sports prints, you're assured to find something unique for Dad this Father's Day. Instead of a boring old tie, get him a historic baseball photo taken by Henry High Sandom at the historic Polo Grounds Stadium in New York City during the 1894 Temple Cup. Or, if he's an NFL buff, check out the 1963 vintage NFL poster. These are so good looking that you'll be amazed how they turn out. Shop now at sportshistorynetwork.com/row1 and save 15% off your order.
Starting our count on the greatest jersey numbers of NFL players of all time, the greatest players, we start off with number 0. 0 comes before 1. We start with the greatest players in NFL history that wore the number 0 and 00 in just a moment.
This is the Pigskin Daily History Dispatch, a podcast that covers the anniversaries of American football events throughout history on a day-to-day basis. Your host, Darren Hayes, is podcasting from America's North Shore to bring you the memories of the gridiron, one day at a time. So as we come out of the tunnel of the Sports History Network, let's take the field and go no huddle through the portal of positive gridiron history with pigskindispatch.com.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Hello, my football friends. This is Darren Hayes of pigskindispatch.com, your portal to positive football history, and we're going to go back in time to February 2021, just a few days after the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl, when we started our journey on the jersey numbers, the best players in NFL history to wear jersey numbers. We started off with number 0 and 00, and here's that episode for you right now. Now, as we promised, we're going to start off with our first jersey number in this series, going all the way from 0 to 99, and zeros is a logical place to start. But there's a couple ground rules, so there's not a lot of zeros because in the NFL, the number standardization rule of 1973 eliminated both 0 and 00 from being legal numbers to be used. But prior to 1973, we had some great 0 players, and anybody that wore the number 0 that was still playing in 1973 was grandfathered in. So the first one we have to talk about is 00s. It was Jim Otto. Jim was with the Oakland Raiders from 1960 through 1974, so he had quite a span of AFL and NFL experience. His career accolades was he was a Pro Football Hall of Famer, a 10-time All-Pro, and his jersey number was grandfathered for the balance of his career since he started wearing it in 1960. He was an original Raider, and none of the 3 players to play all of the team's games in the 10-year history of the American Football League. Otto was considered to be one of the greatest centers ever to play the game. The only other 00 of significance that I could find was the New Orleans Saints and Houston Oilers' Ken Burrow. He was a wide receiver that played in the league from 1970 through 1981, and his jersey number 00 was grandfathered for the balance of his career since he started wearing it in 1970. The rule came out in 1973. Ken Burrow was a great player, a very interesting player, and if you can ever watch some old clips of him, you can see his talent that was on the football field. But Ken Burrow wore the 00s. The only other person that wore 0 or 00 that I could find, and again, if we missed something, please email us at pigskindispatch@gmail.com, and we'll catch it up on a future episode. We'll clean up some of the folks we may have missed because we want to make sure we honor all the significant players that played. Well, we had a 0, George Plimpton, who wore it in the preseason with the Lions one year, the Detroit Lions. So that's what it is. Now, for the zeros for the college jersey, actually, this past season, 2021, was the first season that the 0s or 00s were allowed in the college football game. So we don't have a whole lot of information on folks that wore them, but there were some players this past season that did wear 0 and 00, and we congratulate for them on that because they are the first in the NCAA to be wearing those numbers. And that's it. It's just short and sweet for zeros, but not a lot of players were allowed to wear them, and there hasn't been a lot of history of them wearing them, and some, like the NFL, have ended that history abruptly in the early 70s. So make sure we're going to try to do this regularly through the season, probably about 3 to 4 times a week. We're going to talk about the jersey numbers, and coming up in our next edition, we're going to do it on the February 10th edition release. We are going to talk to Larry Schmidt from the Gridiron Uniform Database. We talked to Bill Schaefer last episode, but Larry is going to get us into some great detail on jersey number 1. We're going to have a great discussion, and it's a lot of fun, and you are going to really learn some things from Larry Schmidt, and I'm excited to present them to you on tomorrow's podcast. So once again, we appreciate you joining us on this podcast. Make sure that you know as soon as our next episode is released by hitting that subscribe button. Maybe give us a rating in your favorite podcast provider so that we can go up in the rankings there. We really appreciate that. And you can also join us by going to pigskindispatch.com/podcast. You can see all of our podcasts ever made all in one place if you want to do some binge listening. You can do that same thing by going to the sportshistorynetwork.com and check out our podcast as well as the other 16 podcasts that are currently on the Sports History Network. And Arnie Chapman is growing that Sports History Network on a day-to-day basis. And if you're interested in running your own podcast on sports history, please contact Arnie. There's some great information there on the sportshistorynetwork.com. And make sure you check out our flagship station, pigskindispatch.com, where we have our website, where we have some great blog details in that powerful search box that goes all over the Sports History Network and scours up that gridiron nostalgia for you. So until tomorrow, folks, have a great gridiron day. Peeking up at the clock, the time's running down. We're going to go into victory formation, take a knee, and let this baby run out. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back tomorrow for the next podcast. We invite you to check out our website, pigskindispatch.com, not only to see the daily football history, but to experience positive football with our many articles on the good people of the game, as well as our own football comic strip, Cleat Marks Comics. Pigskindispatch.com is also on social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget the Pigskin Dispatch YouTube channel to get all of your positive football news and history. A special thanks to the talents of Mike and Gene Monroe, as well as Jason Neff for letting us use their music during our podcast.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
At the Sports History Network, we're all about sports yesteryear, and so we're so pleased to introduce you to Row 1, an online memorabilia gallery and shop that brings your sports history to life anywhere. The Row 1 gallery includes over 5,200 gorgeously reproduced prints of team posters, game program covers, game tickets, advertisements, and more in baseball, pro and college football, pro and college basketball, and more. And any gallery item may be printed in a variety of sizes on wood, metal, canvas, acrylic, or poster paper. And in Row 1 shop, check out the thousands more of unique items with the retro and historical designs dating back to 1876, including t-shirts, long-sleeve shirts, phone cases, mugs, blankets, pillows, towels, and even shower curtains. Go to sportshistorynetwork.com, ROW1, for access to the full Row 1 catalog and for gallery prints and gift items, plus get a 15% discount off all prints on the Row 1 Pictorium Gallery with coupon code SHN15. Follow the link on the show notes.